Okay. All right. I am going to kind of take my time ramping up a little bit because this first day is almost always chaos and folks are still kind of trickling in. And I very much like for everybody to have as much as they can. So I'm not a big stickler for be here immediately at 10:30. But you will want to try to be here by 10:30. I don't mark anybody off or anything for being late, but I do take attendance early on. So if you don't show up on time, there is a chance I might miss you, and then it's a whole thing tracking me down. It's a pain in the butt. So it's better, at least so much better to just come to class on time if you can. But I'll talk about that in a moment, I guess. I'm checking to see. We've got 27 students in class this time. That's awesome. Usually we have about between 20 and 30, and we have closer to 30 this time. So that's kind of cool. I imagine it being online might have had something to do with that. With a few more folks than normal. Okay. Well, it looks like I am probably gonna get started. Oh, that's another thing, is that there is a waiting room in Zoom. And if you're not here kind of at the start before I get everything going, it's likely I won't notice you guys popping in later. So I try to make sure I get everybody in. But another thing to just like, it gets complicated when people show up late. And nobody's in trouble or anything. I sometimes forget to check on the participants window thing. So, hey, hello everybody. I see some familiar names and some new folks. Kind of cool. All right. Well, how's about I just get started? Yeah, we'll get started. I am checking the chat, see if anybody is out there. Would like it. Bowen, I went ahead and muted you just because I could hear your clicky clacking. If you'd like to just unmute if you needed to pop back in, that's okay. All right, there we go. Let's see everybody's face test. Well, actually, nobody's using a camera. See, there's actually something kind of interesting about the camera thing. Oh, no worries, Dawn, you're fine. There's something kind of interesting about camera stuff. Students never like to use their cameras, which I'm not really gonna make you. Is there gonna be a time I think I need you to? I don't think so. I don't think there's a time I need you to use a camera for this. I will say though that in the industry, I've never worked with somebody who didn't. So like, there's like a stark like cultural difference between like student and professional. And you know what? I'm not going to say that a professional doesn't, because I'm sure that there's some out there. In my like the last like 3 teams I worked on remotely, everybody used their camera. So something, food for thought. I'm not sure why that is yet though. Cool. All right. Okay. Well, how's about I get started? I'm going to just do a little screen share here. I'm going to invite everybody to go ahead and log onto your Canvas. I mean, I'm sure you had to get access to the link. There's a possibility, I suppose, that you guys grabbed the link earlier and saved it or bookmarked it for you. There's nothing wrong with that. I do want you to go ahead and log on though, because there's some things that we have to do, and we have to do it today in class together. On that note too, we live in a time where a computer is pretty much in our pocket all the time. There's the kind of work that's little computer work, which you can do on your phone. And then there's big computer work, which is stuff that we'll be doing in this class. So I want to be very clear, very, very clear about what you're going to need to be able to do this class. And that's not to that's just to participate, let alone pass, right? So you're going to want to make sure that in our times together, you are not remoting in with a phone. You are using a computer, either a laptop or a computer in our computer labs, N207 computer lab, you'll have access to. It is important that you don't like skip that. It's less of an issue in the first half of our class, but the second half of our class, it's a no exceptions sort of situation. You are going to need access to a computer, and they will need to be able to run the Unreal 5 game engine. So if you have any questions about that, we're going to cover a little bit more of that in detail. And you know what? I should probably cool it on the music right now. We'll just go ahead and pop that down for now. Let's go ahead and get started. I could use a couple more weeks of break myself. I could use a little bit more sleep and food, personally. I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a slow time getting up to speed. Yeah. Are you guys like rearing to go? Normally in the fall, that's how it is. Students are like, I'm pumped, I'm ready. But then winter, it's like, oh, so tired. I don't know. No? I'm ready but tired. Yeah. Yeah. I think I feel similarly. You know, winter is fine. I get like that for spring. Oh yeah. It's harder for spring, I think. And then in the middle, there's like a panic of like, oh my gosh, we're like almost done with the year. And everybody pumps up again for like a couple weeks, like week 5 and 6, and then are checked out by like week 8 if you're not panicking about your finals. And it's like that for teachers too. It's not just people. Once I get to spring, I'm 100%. I know, right? Like I'm just here because I have to be. Okay. Well, I hope to try to make this class a little bit more fun. Oh, were you gonna say something? Oh, okay. I hope to make this class a little bit more fun, but I want to be pretty clear though, is that while this class is a class about game design and video games, which are fun and interesting, it's not exactly, it's not easy. You know, it's certainly not like playing a game. And I'm sure that for those of you that are here because you're filling a requirement for your associate's degree, people who are here who are interested in film and visual design and maybe even 3D modeling, which has a little bit of overlap about, well, not really in this class, but I could see where there would be overlap of interest with 3D and games. But it's not going to be an easy class. I am pretty forgiving. Oh, no worries, Johnny, you're fine. I am pretty breezy about resubmissions and applying yourself, and we'll talk a little bit more of that in detail, but I want to talk a little bit about this class, what this class isn't. This isn't a class about necessarily playing games. It's not a class about game stories or game art. This is a class about the design or even games programming, though there's all of these things are kind of involved in the process of game design. How hard is this class compared to 226? That's a good question. So 226 assumes a lot about your understanding of fundamentals, and it really kind of depends on what kind of applied fundamentals you were required to do in 226. I think of this as sort of like anybody here play an instrument? And if you don't want to like respond in the chat, you can also just give me like a thumbs up or something like that. In yeah, multiple. Okay, yeah, right. I play several badly. That's what I do. And playing an instrument itself, maybe not hard, but doing it well is very hard, right? And there's kind of a window of how difficult something can be. And I think doing this class very well is very hard. Getting an A, not necessarily. I don't conflate those things to be the same thing. I try, but doing the work in this is actually kind of taxing mentally and emotionally, believe it or not. But we'll get there. Guitar for 20 years, dude. Oh my gosh. That's so cool. I've played the guitar for 20 years, but I am not 20 years good. I'm like 3 months good because like I played for like a couple months and then I stop for a year and then I'll do it again and then I'll stop for a year. That's my whole life with music. That's so cool. Oh, what's a kalimba? Can I we what's that? I'm gonna really quick. What? Oh, I've seen those. That's cool. That's really cool. You know what? I have one of those. A friend of mine gave one to me as a present a couple of years ago, and I really enjoy it. And I didn't know that's what it was called. That's cool. Yeah, yeah. Thumb piano. You could probably teach me a thing or two, Joanna, for sure. But I'd say that if you do anything like really well, I like thinking of instruments because I think that it's really, really easy to be motivated to be good because right away you know how good you're not when you can hear yourself playing a song or a line badly. It's a lot like that. Game design. You get your first few games are usually awful. Always they're always awful the first few games you've made, and we want to be able to play symphonies and songs that we love immediately, so it's the gap is stark and present, and that can be kind of overwhelming. So I would say that this class is probably like mentally emotionally more difficult than 226, but 226 has a bit more technical work, which is like it's a different animal, you know what I mean? Okay. Well, now I do want to encourage everybody here to kind of lean on their strengths, and I mentioned before that there was overlap with 3D modeling in games that we all, I think, could probably imagine. Like we just thinking about it, if you don't already know, if you're not already aware of that overlap, you could see it, right? So many games are 3D, and of course, 3D modelers might have a little bit more context on some things. However, I kind of want to remark that it's the same for film and visual design as well. In games, like there's still design hierarchy, and there's still dominance and subdominance in the design of play, and it's not just visuals and animation. And you can see, well, sure, there's going to be audio people making music for games. Sure, those are kind of compartmentalized differently though, but in the same way, so is film. Camera work is extremely important on a player controller, not just in the realm of cinematics and trailers that are being cut, sure, but like film grammar is extremely important when we're framing a composition of a level, right? And so like there, it turns out that if you are here and you have an interest even in things outside of games, you can in a lot of ways like lean on your strengths to work on some of the more digital stuff that we'll be doing later. So I just wanted to kind of make that note. It's not really just 3D and games that have a relationship here. So does film and so does visual design. Hopefully I can talk and show you a little bit more about that later. Now, we're going to meet in this Zoom call every Wednesday at 10:30. I am recording everything here, so what you see in the in my camera is what's actually being recorded while I'm screen sharing for you, which actually reminds me because it's not a bad idea for me to go ahead and swap over to that. So don't worry about like trying to blow my camera up. I'll screen share everything with you through Zoom. That's important because, well, Zoom's like camera streaming resolution is a lot better. There are ways around it, but it's kind of taxing when I start to use Unreal 5 later. So we're just going to get used to this at the moment. But I am recording on my computer. It's not being recorded through Zoom because the recording through Streamlabs is far higher resolution. And that will really pay off later when we're talking about Unreal and Unreal demos. Now that actually brings me to computer spec requirements. Now, this class, I don't require you to have a camera or a microphone. Those two things are very helpful, but they're really not required. If I have you do any group work in class, which does happen, and you do not have a microphone, you can use, chat. Like I could get along fine with y'all in chat. That's comfortable for you. And absolutely, I don't really have anybody doing any kind of presentations in like a big class, big sort of way. I'll probably be playing your levels, but don't worry, you won't have to like present in a formal way. All right. But I do want to talk about computer requirements and what you are expected to have. And I need to make a few blunt, clear statements. Macs are not going to work. Macs are not going to work. Apple Mac laptops are not going to work. Now, you may be able to download the software and work in it, and you'll see when you get started, you don't understand why I'm saying that until you try to give me your project. You're going to try to give me your project, and because my school issued workstation is Windows, I will not be able to open your work, and you won't be able to submit. And there's nothing I can do about that. This isn't a Mac lab class where we do teach this in a computer lab. It would be all on Windows. I know that people have preferences for Macs, and I completely understand why. They're extremely powerful and visually stunning and very important in the realm of visual design and in video. But they are not and have not been really supported in game development or even games real-time graphics. We do rely on core processors and graphics cards. NVIDIA is a recommended, but it's not required, right? And those drivers work really closely with Epic and Unreal. So it's important that you understand that a Mac, a tablet, a phone, these things cannot work in this class. Is there anybody here? I invite you to go ahead and let me know who has concerns about that, because that's what you have access to. Okay, I'm going to take the silence and the lack of answering that question as an affirmation that you were aware that you need to have a Windows computer that can also handle Unreal 5, the Unreal 5 game engine. Now, I know that this is an online class, and I will not be requiring you to do in-class demonstration work, though I recommend it, but I know how hard that is to kind of follow along. So everything will be recorded, and there is an asynchronous component to this class. Ordinarily, we would meet twice a week, but we meet once a week, and I use the second meeting time as basically an asynchronous lab, and I will give you content in that time. Yes, I have a Mac, but it's an older Windows. Vicky, you won't be able to use your Mac. If your Windows is too old, probably not that either. Probably not. Okay. Real quick, my graphics card for my Windows computer is slightly less than up to par. I've got a 2060. Would that be fine? Probably. You can. Okay, so what will happen is that you will struggle bus a bit. I might recommend you do some tests with an install of Unreal 5. We'll talk about that in just a second. If your computer is managing it okay, I mean, try opening a project, like a demonstration project in Unreal, and see how well your computer can handle it. What might happen is you might have some lag. You might have some longer build times, but I have a 1660, but Unreal has worked just fine on my computer. Okay, Luca, maybe your processor is fine and you haven't really pushed a lot on graphics. I'm running a 2070 and can handle. Great, gotcha, wonderful. Yep. If you're unsure, like these requirements here, by the way, are kind of conservative. This is what Unreal Epic Games recommends that you have to run Unreal 4. And I've gone ahead and left them here because I think Unreal 5 runs a little bit more optimally, but not necessarily with rendering Lumen and the new lighting stack. And we're not going to be doing a lot of heavy rendering because, like I said, this isn't a game art class, so we have a little bit more flexibility. If you're unsure, you're probably okay with a 3080 and an i9. I think that would be fine. Okay. 64 gigs of RAM required. I have 32. Ooh, that's a processor issue. You're gonna lag, and you're gonna. You can test it and see if it handles okay. No, we do have some time, right? Like, we're not going to be getting into Unreal right out of week 1, but we will by week 5, maybe 6. So the second half of this class really does require that we figure something out. You can either test what you have to see if it will work, and I'm happy to work with you to to feel out some requirements there and help you test it. Or you will need to make arrangements to have access to the computer labs on campus. Now, the large N250 computer lab that has all of the computers, they do not have Unreal, and they also probably can't handle Unreal. The N207 computer lab, though, this guy, you know what? I've got a computer. I've got Google Maps. Bellevue College, computer maps right over here. Okay. This quick little demonstration. I don't know if you knew that you could do this on maps, but we can look at the computer labs here. There you go. Whoop. Whoop. What's that? All right. Normally, we would be meeting in N209 if we were to have this class in person, right? So this computer lab class right here, this does have the computers that you could use. So if I'm in that classroom and I have a class in there and there is room, you're welcome to use it. Not if you're taking another one of my classes, though. I'd like for you to be present about that. N207, you don't know it, but it's this block right here between N208 and N206. It's right here. We hide it. It looks like a closet, but it's not. It was pretty top of the line. Oh yeah. Oh, I know. That's what I was thinking. Give it a try. Yeah, you can give it a try. Now, the N207 lab right here, this has computers and software already installed for you. And the reason we hide it is because it's only available to DMA students only. Your tuition pays for those computers, and I work pretty hard to protect them from other students who don't need these computers to be working on them. There's no reason that you would need to come in here and do like an English paper here. You use the large lab for that. There is a server in there though, and it does run kind of warm. I am working on it to see if I can do something about that for you. But in the meantime, yeah, sorry. Okay. But that's right there, and I'll give you a code for that once it's been issued. Give it a shot. If you have an issue, beat me. Yeah, of course. And IT can support it. Yeah. Cool. Wonderful. Thank you, Joanna. That's really nice of you. I appreciate that. I love to see you guys helping each other. Very, very cool. So, yeah, just be mindful of that later on. There is no, but I don't have a computer option in this class, but I don't have access, because technically you do. It is that lab. You'll have about a month and a half to resolve what will work best for your schedule and what will work best for your logistics. I really wish that everybody that needed it had, a time machine at home that they could work on, that can handle the software well. This is probably the biggest hurdle about having this class be online. And if you were taking this class because it was online and we didn't have these kind of considerations before, and you're thinking that you won't be able to manage figuring out how to get access to it, the dropout time for this class by Friday, I think at like 1 p.m. If you do it by Thursday at 10, you'll be fine. You can get a refund, a 100% refund on your tuition. Augustine. Oh, I saw it and then it went away. Oh, okay. Oh, well. Yeah, time to use financial aid. Oh, yeah, maybe. We do provide you with the computers, but we don't. This is an online class, and I try to offer it at least online at least once a year. Okay. All right. Moving on.
Real quick, I had a question about the options for this. I see at the very bottom it was mentioned that there is a limited availability option for the school to issue a laptop. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. Okay, so we do have laptops. We don't have many. Usually they are for extenuating circumstances. And if we have them, we can issue them. Not all of them, though, can handle Unreal. So if you want to try to do that, send a message to me and I will get you in touch with who will process that for you. Basically how it would work is we would issue a laptop, it would have the software you needed on it, and you would be required to give it back to us at the end of the quarter. I'll say that it doesn't come without a few headaches. Usually you have to work with IT, run it over the IT sec department. They'll log you in and show you how to blah, blah, blah. And you will not be able to install anything. So we need to make sure that you have everything that you need there. But it's not something I think I announce wider, only because we don't have enough for everyone. But we do have some. And if you feel that your circumstances in your situation would merit being issued a laptop, reach out to me. We'll give it a try. And it is going to be a kind of first come, first serve situation. I wish we had more. I wish we had enough, but computers are very expensive.
Gotcha. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
you
So
bet.
basically, kind of a last resort sort of situation there.
Yes, it would be prefer if you have the ability to get to the school, then that should probably take priority. If you don't have the ability to get to the school and you also don't have a computer and also those are things that are kind of mounting an extenuating circumstance. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. These are my specs. I've been running heavy games, but oh yeah, okay, in low resolution. Ooh, if you have to run it in low resolution, it's likely going to struggle bus in Unreal, but we're not going to be doing heavy graphics rendering, so it might be fine. Might be fine. All right, moving on. Good question. DMA program information. Okay, so this is being weird. I'm gonna edit this because it's driving me crazy. I don't know why it's being so funky. My my dark mode is breaking this table for some reason. I don't know why, but hopefully that'll fix that. Okay. In the DMA program information page, you'll have access to the contact information of your instructors for DMA. Myself at the top, I'm the program chair for our DMA program. I can help with advising if you have any advising questions. If you have any questions about student clubs, reach out to me here. But I also provided the area of specialization for folks here in case you have an interest outside of 3D and game design in my class, right? If you'd like, hey, I have a question about, motion graphics, like, hey, that's awesome. Bo's got you. Go ahead and message him if you have any questions, and so like I just kind of add this here as like a little bookmark for you guys to reach any of the instructors. We're all work as a team here. And I gotta say, I'm really proud of the staff that we have. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions about faculty, instruction, or classes, or clubs, any of that. Now, this is the code that I have for the N207 computer lab. However, I've received 2 reports that they are not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be updating this as soon as I've gotten word about any changes to the codes, because it looks like something was changed and I wasn't informed. So I will let you guys know as soon as possible and I'll update it. If it happens during our asynchronous time when we're not connecting in class, I'll make an announcement in Canvas and update the page. Okay. Now, we have a couple of clubs here in DMA. The first, the DMA Student Association, is still a little bit active. The Bellevue Game Dev Club has not had activities since our last conference that we went to. We went to the Game Developers Conference a couple of years back. And they're both still open and they're still usable for you. Now, students have a remarkable amount of power in schools, as you should. And these things are student-led and student-run. I cannot, nor would I want to, make you do anything here, but I can guide you and give you advice and advise you on how to navigate the labyrinth that is Bellevue College's bureaucracy, right? Doesn't sound like fun, I know, but just so that you know, what we've been able to accomplish in the past is actually pretty remarkable. We've gone to San Francisco twice with anywhere from like 5 to 12 scholarships for students to go, all expenses kind of paid. No, yeah, San Francisco sounds like fun, but we went to the Game Developers Conference, which is also really fun. Makes sense if you're trying to get a job in games, in the games industry, via whatever discipline you might have. Visual designers get jobs in the game industry, doing UI and UX graphics for like game UI, GUI. film students get jobs in the games industry as well. They're not focused on visual design, they're just the games industry at large. Um, we're not going this year, mostly because students haven't, let me know that they had an interest in going or kind of started to take the reins on this. Basically, these clubs are spaces for us to be able to either go to conferences, we had LAN parties, we've had esports tournaments. Yeah, Joanna, you should if you can. And I'll talk about that in a bit. We've had we've had art jams, animation, game design, etc. Film jams. Like we can do jams where we do prompts that encourage you to be creative in a pretty low stakes environment. The filmmaking club is active and does exist too. You will want to contact Adrienne Wolfenstorf for that. She's awesome. And I know that she gets pretty good work out of her students. So reach out to our clubs, please. Can you please iterate on what a jam is? Oh, good question. A jam is usually considered kind of a hackathon, only not explicitly for programming or computer science, right? A game jam is where you make a game in about 2 to 3 days from scratch with a prompt. An art jam is where you make some art from a prompt. We've normally what the game dev club would do is usually run a remote jam through Discord, where we would make a prompt for you, and everybody would go and make whatever they wanted to based off of it. Well, I'm sure if it's winter or spring, we had I think it was spring jam, where we gave you 4 potential prompts and you could go make a short film, animation, 3D model, game, whatever. And we all just kind of hang out on Discord, working together, answering each other's questions, helping each other out. You could work in a group or by yourself. And we had a lot of fun. Part of the reason that we really encourage jams, like creative jams like that, is because the advisory committees have let us know that one of their bigger critiques of our portfolios that we're creating for students is that they're all the same. Now, first off, you should understand no 2 students are the same, but when students use only their homework in a portfolio, you could see why people would start to have the same stuff. In film, everybody has a Dorito commercial, right? That's weird that everybody has the same thing. And so people are seeing people have the same thing from the school or just in the pool, and they're realizing that it's not a unique sort of own storytelling that you're doing, right? So in this class, any games that you make will probably not look like each other's stuff. That's wonderful. In my 3D class, I have everybody making the same thing for a few assignments. And if everybody's putting those things on their portfolio, everybody's portfolio looks the same, right? So we try to create this like art jam situation where students can go and make things outside of homework assignments, low stakes though, that would let you kind of build up your portfolio presence, right? We really want to do that. And also we want to have fun. Maybe we can have a pizza party and a LAN party and I don't know, we just like video game together. That's also fun, right? Yeah. we try. Okay. All right. Now, a quick shifting gear. I want to have everybody really quickly on whatever device you're using right now to go ahead and do this assignment. And I'm going to explain it quickly for you. In our data, we've found that students who do not interact with Canvas the first week with at least 50% participation have like a remarkably high chance of failing. Like that's what the numbers are showing. And it's not to say that just because you don't, you would. There are certainly exceptions. It's not causal, but it is pretty correlative. So as a kindness, it might not feel like a kindness when I describe it, but it is. Students or instructors are expected to drop students that have not participated in the first week with an instructor initiated drop by Thursday at 10 p.m. Now, what that means for the student, if that happens, is that you get a 100% refund on your class and no mark on your record, no even note or blip that something like that happened. it's far better for a student to have their money back and no mark on their transcript than to try to leave them in the class, take their money and let them fail, which is what happens more than half the time if I don't drop them. So what I like to do here is I've noticed that for almost every student that does this assignment, that doesn't happen to. So I'm kind of pulling my own data. I'd like for you to just remark that you understand this. So go ahead and just click on submit and say, I understand what this means. And then that is going to be part of your participation here. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pause, I think, the recording and give you guys, I don't know, about like 5 to 10 minutes to go ahead and get this done now. If you don't do it right this second, if you don't do it now, it won't unlock later modules. So we really want to get through this getting started module. Okay. Okay. All right. I think we are back. Thank you guys for doing that for me. It looks like all of you got it. Rock and roll. I did also take attendance, but I'm going to cross-reference that with what was submitted right now so I will make sure that I do get you marked present. Don't want to accidentally mark you absent. Okay, next up, I'm going to ask you all to go ahead and introduce yourself if you haven't already.
Real quick, I can see your camera talking. You are muted.
I'm muted. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. Well, it wasn't muted for my recording, so I see where I got that confused. Basically what I was saying was that I went ahead and took attendance while you guys were doing that as well, and I noticed that there were a few more submissions than I got marked present. It's probable that the name that you're showing on Canvas doesn't match the name that's being shown on Zoom. So I'm going to cross-reference with if you did the submission in the just now in the agreement, I will adjust anybody here. So if you did that, I'll mark you as present. So no need to sweat that. That's basically what I was saying. And then the follow-up to that was that now I'm going to ask you to go ahead and introduce yourself. I do know that the names on Canvas don't necessarily match in Zoom, and nor necessarily should they. And I also know that changing names on Canvas is not simple. So I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. I'd like for you to include the name that you would like to be called, your pronouns, your area of interest in DMA, and even if it's I don't know yet, that's okay. And why you enrolled in 225. There really are no wrong answers here. I'm not looking for I have a deep interest in game design and that's the only right answer. Not at all. I actually like to know the truth because it gives me a little bit more context about how I give you feedback. Is the motivation really just trying to get through the class, trying to get through the degree, or are you really trying to be a better designer and developer? And I think that I don't need to quite put you through that ringer if you have no interest in bettering yourself as a game designer per se, right? I still will be giving you feedback, ways to improve and for sure improve your grade. But I like to know you a little bit more, right? So much more than a grade. So go ahead and do that for me. And for the second half of that introduction, make sure you say hello to at least a couple of other students that have a shared interest or shared sort of philosophy. You can give them a thumbs up. You could share a safe for work meme. You could reply to the post, whatever makes you more comfortable. Okay. So just make sure we're also connecting with each other. I'll give you another, we'll say 7 minutes, and at 11:25, we'll come back. Okay. All right. Hopefully everybody got a chance to get through that today too. So just a quick reminder, doing the agreement, doing the agreement and the introduction for yourself is what will unlock the other module, the design and play module we're going to get started on today. Okay. So I hope you had a chance to get that in. You'll want to. Now, let's talk about a few more things, class related policy onboarding stuff. And that is the syllabus. Hi, this is me. I have been making games since, well, I mean, technically since like 2008, but professionally since about 2011 and 12. I am here to try to teach you the foundational knowledge about game design and to train you for employment purposes. We're not really doing game design just because it's interesting. but it's super fascinating. And if you're not familiar with, I think, game design, I'm hoping to kind of show you its magic in this class. I really am. I think it kind of changed my life, and I don't just mean because professionally. Um, Now our class, we meet online. Oh, it says Tuesday, but that's incorrect. Oh, I do this, guys. I overlook stuff and confuse things with other classes. We meet Wednesday. Online. Not that. Oh wait, that's my office hours. Those are the same. Watch, it was actually fine and I misread what I did. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. We meet online in Zoom, this call. Every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12:30. Well, more like 12:20, right? That's 12:20, not 12:30. We meet today through week 11, which is March 19th. Week 12 is finals week, and we don't meet. We don't actually have a class meeting that day. I'm going to come out of the gate and say I don't believe in tests. I don't believe in quizzes and tests. I kind of think they stink. It's not just a bias. There's data to support that they don't properly really assess somebody's understanding if they're at all stressed out when they take the test. And I don't know about you, but I'm almost always stressed out when I take a test, even if it's something I know really well, because I just panic. I don't like being wrong about stuff, and it scares me. So by show of hands, who here is kind of similar when it comes to tests? Like, even if you know it, it's still kind of stressful to take it. Yeah. Oh, only one of you. Should I start giving you guys tests then? And I'll just give Micah an out? Okay. Right. There we go. There we go. I know that some of you are like frantically scrambling to find the like hands. Yeah. Yeah. If I were to ever do tests, which I have in the past, I would basically, you're allowed to retake them as many times as you need. No working. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Okay. Well, it looks like that you're not alone, Micah. So I guess we won't do tests in this class. Now, I'll go ahead and lower your hands, because I'm sure some of you went ahead and put them up. Yeah, but totally. Yay, yeah. No tests in this class. I do believe in performance though, and I think that when you understand conceptually what we're talking about, the theory of it, and you apply it into the design, it shows, and I can see it when it shows. So we're more project based, we're more exercise based. You will have some assignments. If I ever have a reading assignment for you, I will provide you that content in a PDF form. I will not require you to read or purchase a textbook. However, a lot of what I teach is through this recommended text called Rules of Play, Game Design Fundamentals. It's expensive. You don't have to buy it. I would say, though, that a lot of the content from it has stuck with me over the years, and I still really vibe with it. Oh, there's another book, though. Hold on. I'm going to recommend it. Hi, sorry, I'm chaos. There's this other book called show you here. It's called Anatomy of Game Design. This is great. I've spoken to the author, and this is fantastic in breaking down game design fundamentals related to more current, specifically video games. There's talk of Spelunky, Centipede, Shovel Knight, Magic the Gathering. Well, I mean, Magic the Gathering is a card game tabletop, though there are digital versions of it. Settlers of Catan is on here. So they do kind of a great compare and contrast to how those fundamentals show up and appear in various types of games. So I think it's a really good sort of method for understanding them, right? I feel like it's easier to see it and play them than it is to read about them and think about them. Though do that too, because it's awesome. Now, the learning outcomes in this class. All right, my game design applies to all aspects of it. I actually kind of agree with you, Joanna. It really does for me. I've systemified a lot of my life because I have the ADHD dizzle, and it's everywhere for me. And if I don't have good, sturdy systems, I struggle. So I find that reward systems being really important for everyone it's made my life happier. So I have had students tell me after taking this class that they understand that importance a little bit more. And I hope that that's you too. Still, conceptually, game design is very difficult. um, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, neurospicy for sure. Neurospicy meant spicy lots of things. Ever since I started game design, the concept of it will only trigger if you walk through if you walk through there and this is my safe zone curses me in games. I mean, that's only one very specific mechanic of a trigger system, really. And trigger, the word, has a lot more context to it when we're working on ourselves as well. But they kind of work the same. When you go somewhere, something happens mentally or physically, right? But in the case of game design, we have to really study fun. And I don't know when was the last time you guys, and I would love to hear from you, please type it out. When was the last time you had fun? And what did you do that was fun?
Dealing with shaders and
Okay, Augustine. But actually that wasn't work and learning how to 3D model and doing homework. My goodness, you guys. I mean, shaders are actually fun, Augustine. Don't get me wrong. But when was the last time you had fun that wasn't related to your professional work?
a few days ago when I started playing video games.
A few days ago. So you didn't have any fun yesterday or today?
Not yesterday, I was working. So
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Can I chime in?
Yeah.
Go for
This
it.
is Joanna, by the way.
Hi, Joanna.
Hi. I have been sinking a bajillion hours recently into a game called Oxygen Not Included.
Oh, that's a great game.
Oh, it's so good.
It's good. Yeah.
It's this game about you're a colonist in space, and basically you just have to survive by like building and grinding, and it's got a lot of systems management. It's really fun.
Yeah, it is.
But the last time I had fun, I think was probably I would love to say it was the last night when I was playing Oxygen Not Included, but sometimes like I've had to restart my colony like 3 times since yesterday, so maybe that's not that fun. But I listen to a lot of music, and so that's fun.
Takes the edge off for me too. You'll notice that I like to have it running in the background. It just makes the environment way more relaxing and less formal and hoity and toity. Hoity and toity. Playing games, playing a lot of satisfactory lately was playing okay, so playing games literally before this class is playing games. Interesting. I'm not at all surprised though. Games are designed to be fun. So you really don't have to work for the fun the way you would have to if you were trying to, I don't know, learn to garden or touch some grass or do things outside of games, which are, I'm not saying you should or need to, but games are designed to be fun. And you have fun playing them. Not all games are fun. And sometimes I would actually argue not all of them are designed to be fun, but games that are designed for consumption pretty much always are. Throwing some shade out. Well, I have to work really hard to have fun outside of games. I find it really important. So I think I'm going to like elevate that message a bit, but no judgment though. If games is where it's at for you, it certainly is for me in most cases. Now I want to remark too. I saw someone mention Balatro. Yeah. Horror games. Yes. I love horror games. And we can talk about why eventually at some point. I think that they're really powerful experiences. But I'm outside myself. The outcomes of this class, this is really what you can and should be holding myself and your instructors accountable for, right? I'm a leader. I am really uncomfortable saying that usually, but I'm a leader. I'm a leader in my program. I'm the program chair. I'm a leader in our class, and then I'm your professor. I'm an art director on a video game. I've given multiple public speaking engagements. I'm a leader in my industry. I'm a leader. And if there's anything that I've understood about leadership is that it is, for me, philosophically, a service-oriented task. It is not a delegation. It's not explicitly me telling people what to do or managing them or getting the most out of them for sake of productivity. That's management. Important, but not the same. I think that leadership should be something that we do to uplift and empower others. And on that note, you as a class as a student, have the most power here, frankly. I know that I have legitimate power over the grade and over how assignments are accepted and experienced, but you have power over me too. And I like to share how, so that you feel empowered to speak your truths and for sure hold anybody you feel needs to be held accountable, such as other teachers. Now, these learning outcomes, this is the deal. I teach you these. If I don't teach you these, you have a leg to stand on, a proper bone to pick, so to speak. You are entitled to a refund if I don't teach you these things. And it works like that with every teacher, every class, wherever you are. So if you ever feel that you have a problematic a teacher or instructor and they're not teaching you the deal, this syllabus and these learning outcomes are your key. This is your power. So I'm going to be teaching you experimenting with various game mechanics. We're going to identify and apply the principles of game design. We're going to develop and test paper game prototypes. We're going to critically analyze the design of a game. And we're going to describe and construct a game design document. We're going to collaborate in a group to organize and design a game prototype. We're going to do all of those things in this class. And if I don't, you can come talk to my my manager, my dean, and you say you have a bone to pick, and then they're going to ask me like, Renee, why aren't you doing your job? I'm like, I don't know. Oopsie. And then you probably get your money back. But I like to share this with you guys, not just so that you hold myself accountable. I work very hard to try to give you what I think is a valuable education, but not every, I think, instructor values accountability quite the same way as I do. So I wanted to share that with you and make sure that you understood where your power lies, because you have quite a bit of it. Okay. Any questions on that? I got all serious there for a second, didn't it? Okay. All right, looks pretty good. How outcomes will be met? We're going to meet here. We're going to be doing weekly checkpoints. We're going to do, I'm going to give you any resources you need and definitely doing the assignments. That's kind of really where the points lie. The schedule of what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to get started in week 1, intro to design. We're going to talk about that shortly. And then these are going to be the modules that we tackle. These are, I want to say they're subject to change, but not in any additional. I'm not going to be adding more content to you. It's possible we might remove something from here if we run out of time. The flow of the quarter really matters, and sometimes it's performance. Like, you guys are really getting it and are able to like get things done early, but don't rely on that. Sometimes we have windstorm bomb cyclones that cancel class and things go bad. So depending on kind of the occurrences of the quarter, this might change, but for the most part, we're going to stick to this skeletal structure here. Okay. All right. Now, the most important stuff for you guys, probably, at least you think, is the assignment and homework policy. All right, you're going to hear it from me first. I will always accept late work. No questions asked. I will always accept them. And I will always accept resubmissions for your assignments for a better grade. If you turned in your homework on time, you can redo it for the grade that you want, up to 100%, right? However, if you submit something late to me without talking to me, and it doesn't have to be a conversation, you can message me on Canvas and that will be fine. If you message me first, I'll give you an extension. No questions asked. You don't have to tell me why. Most of the time students do. I think it's just kind of being polite, or maybe you're used to instructors requiring you to tell them like, why can't you turn it in? It has to be a good excuse. I don't need to. If you just say, oh my God, it's the day before, 1 minute prior to it being due, if I get a message from you saying, I can't submit the assignment, I'm sorry, you'll get a 24-hour extension. It's so much easier on me though, if you tell me what assignment it is, because I have many assignments kind of going on at the same time. It helps me, but it's not a requirement. If you don't tell me when you'll be able to give me the assignment, I will give you an automatic 24-hour extension. Otherwise, if you are explicit and suggest that I can't get to my homework, but I can get it to you by Sunday at like 10 p.m., that will be your new deadline and the clock starts again. Now, if you submit something late without talking to me, the highest grade that you could get is a 60%. Don't panic, please. That is a C minus. That is a passing grade. It's a passing grade for a prerequisite. It's a passing grade. If you turn in everything late without talking to me, I'd say a C minus is reasonable, right? You did the work, but you barely showed up, right? Kind of, right? Now, no judgment. People struggle with deadlines. One of the learning outcomes here, though, that I push for is a professional training. And in no way is it considered professionally okay to go dark on your leads or your director or your clients. And it's really very common for people to, do progress check-ins with their leads. It's not common at all for you to be given an assignment and then you don't talk to them again until it's pristine. That's not how it works. Your lead should be giving you feedback. So basically, a way to bypass all of this is to give me incomplete work on time. Give me incomplete work on time. Half the time, it's more done than you think. And the other half is I'll tell you how to improve it. And you have unlimited amount of resubmissions on your timeline without penalty. Do you have any questions about that? Cool. All right. Pretty fair, I'd say, right? Communication. Mostly this is to please contact me via Canvas email. Do not email me on my BC email, my at bellevuecollege.edu. Don't do that. Message me on Canvas with anything that you have related to the class. If you have a question about the homework, you need an extension, you're not going to make it to class, etc. I'll expect you to message me on Canvas inbox. That's this guy right here, right there. Do that. If you need to message me for pretty much anything else, either will work. I answer inbox much faster though. Canvas, I'm faster. I get like 100 emails a day and I can't always get to them because it's overwhelming. So if you want to reach me on Canvas. Attendance. I don't mark anybody late. I'd rather you just be here. So if you're running late and it's the difference between you coming or not, just come. Don't worry about it. It's not usually great for your for your performance, right? We cover a lot of information, important information. So you're going to want to try to make the best of it as you can. Sorry, my throat. Now, Bellevue, the college, has a requirement of 70% attendance for a submission. I will give you attendance though if you can message me that you're not gonna be able to make it and give me a plan about like how you are planning to catch up on the content. I'll excuse you from anything we do in class, but I will require you to stay and keep momentum, right? Don't do this if you can avoid it, at least through ever really, if you can. I can't tell you how important it is for you to be able to ask me questions. The recordings are helpful, but if you have a question and nobody else asked it, you're kind of on your own until you either contact me or see me again. So come to class. It's important. People who come to class do well. That's the data. That's what it shows. Grading. So here's a breakdown of the assignments and how they accumulate, but this is the part you really want to pay attention to right here. There's a nice curve leaning in your favor. I've had students who are concerned because they're getting like a 76% right now and they're great. That's a B minus. That is a good grade. An A is something you get if your work is exceptional, if you're doing an excellent job, if you're showing it. And I can tell you that sometimes students will receive A's just sheer hard work and redoing things over and over again. And I hate to see that kind of stress on it, but it does occur. It isn't necessarily, though, what is expected. Some people can get an A pretty easily, and some people, no matter how hard they redo an assignment, if they're not understanding the outcomes of that assignment, it doesn't get you the grade, right? I do my best to try to give you exactly what the points are asking for, but these are theory. They're abstract concepts that we were mostly talking about. So if you have any question, ask it for clarity. It will help. And also I'm a pretty squishy grader in this class. I get more difficult as we increase difficulty in the track. So being squishy and then also resubmissions allowed, I don't see why we can't all get you to the A's and B pluses across the board here. We really can. Usually when performance dips, it has more to do with ability to be here. And it's no judgment. Life happens, jobs happen, kids happen, family happens, things. So if that's you, talk to me and we can try to figure something out for you. Bellevue College expectations. This is mostly please don't disrupt other people's learning. Kind of hard to do. Everybody here has a right to be here. Let's be kind to each other, a certain amount of etiquette. The DRC accommodations, all of the listed here accommodations that are at the very top, my syllabus accounts for them already. You do not need a letter of accommodation to have access to flexibility and these like learning materials, right? However, these ones here do not, but I'm willing to make an exception for anybody that has a letter of accommodation. These ones here don't matter. These ones here don't apply because you don't need the use of a laptop in class. You probably need to use one anyway, and we offer you them. I don't do textbook work, so you don't need PDF access, but when I do, you will have them. And we don't have tests, right? So if you have any questions about this, please ask me or the DRC. Oh, and finally, there is one thing that I forgot to mention here, and this is about attendance and how I take it. I absolutely despise false attendance. I have a real issue. I think it's pretty rude, and I kind of have a zero tolerance policy for it. Meaning, if I am like reaching out to you, calling on you, and I try not to call people by name here. I'll usually do it in the chat and do a direct message if we have to. If it appears that you have left your desk or are not engaging in the content that we're here, I will mark you absent and there's nothing that you can do about it. It is going to be an absent. How it usually happens, so I'll be totally honest with you guys, is that we'll sometimes do group work. And I will assign you to groups and you will need to go and engage in that group. And when students don't join the groups and group calls, I will drop you from the call and we'll call it a day. So if you need to leave your desk for any reason, just give me a quick like BRB. Give me a quick out. You don't have to tell me if you're using the bathroom or not. I don't need that much detail, but just tell me that you'll be right back. And based off of the timestamp, I will act accordingly and I probably won't drop you. But it is extremely important that you treat these meetings like a professional meeting and you are expected to be present during the time that I have you for. Okay, so do you have any questions about that? Okay. All right. Wonderful. Now, let's talk games. Yay! Let's talk video games. Video games and stuff. Game design. Okay, I guess we'll click on that. All right. Intro to game design. Let's talk about it. Now we are going to have an assignment. You will be expected to do both of these by the end of next week. I'll talk about them in a moment. We got 30 minutes. Let's see how far we get. Okay, let's talk games. Cool. Let's talk games. Woo. All right. These are going to be the sections of this talk. I think a lot of these questions are huge. They're big questions. And we could probably have a whole class on just what is a game. So we won't be able to talk too much about that. These two right here, fun and play. I think this is going to be our priority for this class. Now, what is game design? Let's see here. How come my notes are not showing up? Oh, go back. Give me my notes and comment. There we go. Presenter view with notes. There we go. Now we're talking. All right. Now, how to make a game. For the most part, this is, I think, what people believe when we're going through game design, right? Like that this is the process. It's not. Having an idea, programming it, making all the art, add animations, make money. No, not quite. These are things that do need to happen, but it is not a linear or streamlined process. It's a little bit more circular than that. And I think that there is, I mean, frankly, a lot of sort of misunderstanding about what game design actually is. A lot of people believe that designing a game is programming it, or making art for it is designing it, and it is not. And I'll say that the internet is not helpful in this, in that a lot of laymen are kind of making those correlations that they're the same. If you talk to a video game artist, they will tell you immediately that they are not designers, because we know what design goes into, what goes into it, and we can't take credit for that. So it is not these, while it might feel like it wants to be these. for sure. Now, formally, design is defined as a simple study and practice focused on the interaction between a person or a user, or in this case, a player, and the man-made or designer-made environments or games, taking into account aesthetic, function, context, etc. Right? This has more to do with the experience of this. For visual designers out there, it's the X in UX, right? It's the whole engagement experience that somebody has, and we're tasked with creating that for them. It includes art, it includes environment, it includes animation. Yeah, absolutely. But it is not explicitly those things, right? So this is kind of what we're battling when we're thinking of design, is we're thinking of the form and its function, right? The pretty and the useful, and finding hopefully balance between those two. Ideally, we want them to be both. User experience, Joanna, exactly. Yeah. Now it's actually kind of difficult to talk about quote unquote good design. I don't actually like to use the word good because it sounds like we're moralizing it, right? It's not about doing good like Superman, but design that I think is both strong in its form and its function with a balance is probably a more articulate way of saying that. But I guess we will go ahead and talk about bad design because it is much easier to talk about. Now, if quote unquote, right, good design is a balance of form and function, what do you suppose bad design is? And I'm asking you guys, engage. More one way than the other? Yeah, I'd say that a heavy prioritizing of one over the other is for sure that, or a lack of both. An imbalance of those qualities is a great agreed. Call of Duty. Shade. You know, okay. I don't know. I think Call of Duty's, success stats would probably be evidence against that. A lot of people really love it. Personally, I don't find it gorgeous, but it can be fun. Now, it's easier to talk about design when it fails, frankly, is probably a better way to say this, right? Has this happened to anybody? Has this happened to anyone? Is this you?
Not really. I mean,
Oh, you've never pushed a door or pulled on it when it needed to be pushed, or pushed when it needed to be pulled?
Not really.
Okay, Augustine, I think you might be lying. or you're not remembering, maybe you're just not remembering, because poor design doors are everywhere. And it's actually kind of interesting that you say that you've never engaged in this kind of door before.
Not recently, probably before, but I don't. Yeah, as you said.
Right. Has this happened to anybody? The question was not, has this happened to you recently? Honestly, it has happened to most of us recently, probably. But like, let's talk about this, right? I think you pull when you push right after, right? Like, this type of door exists in the world. And how many of us who are, I think, maybe open to being vulnerable to this being true, blamed ourselves when it happened. Like, oh, I'm so dumb. I'm supposed to pull it. I'm supposed to push it. Oh, so dumb. Well, here's the thing. It's a design issue. It's not a user issue in this case. Thank you. Thank you, David. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. This is actually, it has a name. Doors have one job to do. To open or close, really. I mean, we could probably get into the granular of it and say, well, some of them need to be pulled open, pushed open, closed, closed being pulled, closed, but like a programmer would start to really break this down into each individual action and get really tiny with it, right? But for the sake of our user high level understanding of it, it really has one door. So when we're looking at this again, if we were to solve this problem, and by the way, the name of this door is called a Norman door. It has a name. A Norman door explicitly is a door that has more than 50% of its users interacting with it incorrectly. Now, if a door has one job, at least 50% of the time people would get it right? But a Norman door is so poorly designed that the majority of users interact with it incorrectly. So now when we're looking at this again, what is a potential solution to fix this issue, right? We've got Charlie Brown pushing it, but Patty is pulling on it. How would we better help Patty to push on the door instead of pull it? A sign, changing the handle. Okay. I'm excited that you said that, both of you. Firstly, putting a sign on it is technically what makes it the Norman door, right? It has written instruction. The design of it was so poorly done that we have to give it an explicit affordance to explain how to use it. I saw somebody's hand come up. Whose hand came up? No? Okay. All right. Joanna?
That's funny. Pull and you push.
Joanna?
I was gonna say that there's a lot of different things that can be done. Like obviously like changing the handle system.
Great.
Is a real good example. Instead of having one of those, just putting a flat
putting a plate.
on bathroom
That's
doors where
right.
you're exiting.
Absolutely. Putting a plate up, removing the handle, making the door be able to go both ways. I think sometimes that's not as possible in certain public spaces if you need it to be an outgoing or incoming, like sometimes the way hinges are built or whatever. But yeah, like
that's a lot more likely in kitchen scenarios where
right.
they have to be both ways.
Right, exactly. Like the use of the function and its form. Here, when we're looking at bad, hypothetically bad, quote unquote bad, design here, we have the form not informing the function. The form is poor in this case. The function is technically working, but the form doesn't communicate that, right? So people result to, instead of redesigning it because that would be expensive, putting a sign up that tells you what to do because people keep doing it wrong accidentally for whatever reason, right? And we could look at each individual explanation. But if you're interested in it, the name of it is called the Norman door. Now, homework. Me uninstalling a game I don't like. Yeah, removing the doors. I think possibly the same thing. All right, so let's talk about homework really quick. We're all designers now. No way around it. This is our new job. Okay. We're not just users. We're not just simply going to be people anymore, engaging with the world and not critically analyzing why there are parts of it that we're perhaps engaging outside of its intended purposes. So I want you to go out into the world and observe the design of something in the real world. Now, this is actually really difficult because like if I to tell you, go find something really good and tell me why it's really good. Oh my gosh, you're surrounded by it. It's overwhelming. And frankly, you'll have kind of a I don't know, decision like paralysis. There's too many options, right? But in finding something that pulls you out of its experience is actually a really, really valuable kind of take. Okay, here, let me see if I can explain this a little bit better. All right. And let's go to chatting. All right, can y'all see me okay? See me? You see me? I'm happy. Yeah.
It's all
Okay.
good.
Good. Okay. So, for example, when we talk about good design when we're playing like a game or something, it's not common that we're like, oh my god, this game is so well designed, unless you're a designer and I'll be kind of looking for it. But like this is a chair. It's one of my favorite chairs. And when I go through my life here, what I don't do this. Oh my god. This chair fits my height perfectly. It's exactly the right height. Wow. Whoever designed this chair and its features are real freaking geniuses. Oh my gosh, chair. Wow. What a great chair. Nobody does that. But what happens though if the chair leans back a little too quickly, or it's lower than you thought it would be, or a little too high that you have to adjust it, and suddenly you're forced to engage with the chair? That has pulled you out of the experience of using it, right? So I would like for you to practice this week, engaging with the world. And when you realize you're pulled out of an experience in engaging with that object, I want you to think of ways that you could improve it and how. And I'll even add a little flair to it if you can think of ways to try to make it fun. Okay. Back to over here. Let's go back to screen sharing. Cool. All right. Some examples are traffic laws, restaurant layouts, pieces of furniture, things that like you've engaged with and you're like, wow, something's really slow here. What would improve the speed of this? Wow, this parking lot is extremely confusing. What would simplify this? Create possible design solutions for the problem of fun. Now, the fun part, this is what makes it game-like. This is what makes it silly. This is what makes it that special sauce that we as designers can play with. I do not require you to create a practical solution, but sometimes people do, often do. I don't require you to have something that can be done in real life. A perfect example of this is that somebody said that their house, there's a hallway that is just really kind of annoying because of the way it was laid out. And their solution was to make it a trampoline floor. And that would make it fun. And I got to say that is props. Is that something that they're likely to be able to do? No. But is it a cool idea? Absolutely. And I would love to hear all about it. So for your conclusion can be written as instructions or a detailed description. And I need at least a 300-word minimum. That's not very much. In other words, 1 to 3 sentence solutions are not going to be sufficient. I need you to describe the problem that you found and tell me why you think it'd be fun if you changed it and how you would change it. Okay. You can submit a doc, you could submit text here, but you should be able to submit text. Text entry as well. You may also give me, image files if you've drawn anything up for me. I love to see your drawings. I'll need a PNG or a JPEG. .image files don't transfer well in Windows. So just make sure that they are those file types. And yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, not done yet. So that's kind of what design is. Design is this balance of form and function. And I want you to go out there and try to imagine ways that you can improve the world. I love that about designers. I also love how we get to be snobs about things that it's not always us is the problem. If you interacted with a door incorrectly, it's far more likely that the design of the door was the problem, not you, right? And it's really easy to kind of internalize and shamify mistakes, right? No, we get to kind of work on accepting that sometimes the design of the world isn't perfect. How can we make it better? Now, let's talk about play. You guys like to play, right? Yeah. I love playing games. Yeah. Okay. All right. Play can be defined in a few ways. The academics like to look at this. Freedom within structure and sense of fun and meaningful play. Autotelic You know, the play can be seen as a way to develop creativity, where the designer is in the moment and free to associate ideas. That's what autotelic means. Meaningful play is the relationship between players' actions and the system outcomes, right? Like where there's a deeper meaning between them. I find that a lot in metaphors of mechanics, or when teachers maybe come up with a good game to help you understand something better. You know, not all of them are really good at that though. You know, performance, like playing a piano and practicing it to get better. It's like typically called playing. Role change or pretending, right? Standing in front of an audience, or playing a character at a tabletop, or playing with the idea of a devil's advocate in an argument, right? Like changing the role or the position in a pretend experience. Kids do this a lot and they're really great at it, you know. But I'm kind of trying to zoom in on one in particular. Sense of fun. This one right here. Guys, this is probably the hardest one to grapple with. While I might have thrown a couple of, $5 words up there, like autotelic, right? But really, this guy here is what we care about. No, don't get me wrong. We care about the others, but not like we care about this one. A sense of fun. Now, this is the reason why we play games usually. Sometimes there are exceptions to this. I can give you a few, but F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for uranium bomb. Dare I ask what the N stands for? SpongeBob fans? That's right. Oh no, did I just get rickrolled in the comments? I think I might have. Okay, fun. You know what? I think you guys are having it. I think you guys are having fun right now. It's happening. It is happening. Are there giggles? Are there smiles? If so, it's happening. Now, why do we play? These are some of the answers that students have given in the past, and I think you probably feel similarly. I'd love to hear more if you have any more here that you'd like to add. You know, why do we play games? I'm asking you guys. To grow? Oh, fancy. Yeah, sure. Because you might be bored. Okay. Because bored. Oops. Because bored. Because to punish myself. Wow. A new story. Okay. Sure. All right. I don't disagree with a lot of these. I think sometimes people play to be alone. Sometimes people play to be social, which is kind of interesting because those are dichotomies. For brain chemicals, right? Okay, so the dopamines from the serotonins to interact with people or with the game itself, maybe. Something might be squishy about it, like, I don't know, bubble bursters, candy crushes and matching games. They're tactile and interesting. The difference between RPG players and multi-game play to rank up. Yeah. Sure. To learn. Oh, la-di-da. That's good. Those are good answers. Now, answers that we received in the past and some of the ones that you gave me here, what are some of the opposites of those things? You know, to learn, the opposite is to what? Get dumber? I don't know. What's the opposite of but I think it's because you're bored. So to avoid boredom means, I guess, boredom is the opposite of that, right? No story, a lack of story, lack of emotion, probably, when it comes to story. All right. Here are some answers too that people have given. Tediousness, stress. They might feel bad about playing a game when they've got work to do. Repetition or burnout is kind of the opposite feeling of like new experiences and being creative, right? Boredom, there's boredom. Frustration, which is interesting because boredom and frustration are like almost polar opposites of each other, aren't they? Emotions are so much more than on a linear spectrum, but when I think of bored and I think of frustrated, I think of them as being very far apart.
I mean, if you play along for 5 hours, eventually you'll get bored, frustrated. And
I don't know. Challenge accepted. I feel like I've played.
Well,
I can.
depends
So,
on what game. It depends on what
See,
game.
here's the thing though, because what might be bored to you, to me, I find relaxing. You know, I've played like the other day. I'm a little embarrassed. I played like 8 hours of Final Fantasy X, just grinding, not even engaging with the story. I was just like, no, I'm about to hit Seymour, and I don't want to mess with that. I want to be. I made it to the Comlands. I'm not messing with this, and Seymour pisses me off, so I didn't want to go through like 5 times trying to battle him. So I grinded for like almost 8 hours, and I enjoyed every minute of it. You might have been bored by that, right? To me, no, not at all. And I wonder like why so different, right? I don't like playing PvP games because they feel unrewarding. Okay. Feels like running into aimbots is just awful. All right. Sure. Okay. So how do we make the fun is, I guess, the question, and really understanding fun. Well, okay. So if we look up words like gamification, somebody actually asked me the other day, oh, so you teach them like how to gamify. And I'm like, oh, gross. Gamification, the application of typical gaming elements like making a score or adding a competition to something, to other areas of activity, typically as online marketing technique is what it's usually used as, but people do it for themselves all the time. Is like for you to engage in like that thing or system or activity, right? Gamification is exciting because it promises to make hard stuff in life fun, and that is bullshit. It's not true. There are lots of things in the world that have been gamified that are explicitly absolutely not fun at all, right? Here's a few. Credit scores. You paying your stuff on time makes your points go up. Retail reward programs. It's not fun. It might encourage you to go to the same grocery store because you get points and discounts, but it's not really fun. Promotion at work, points at work, like top seller of this thing gets employee of the month plaque. That's nice. They're making a competition between you guys to whoever sells the most shoes. I don't know what you guys do for a living. Or making a sales quota or whatever. Points on your driver's license. Just not getting tickets. That hardly. Some more examples. This might be the lottery. I don't think I'd call it fun, but people will give money to it. I agree, Aaron. You should try Final Fantasy X. Grades, honor system. Grades. Getting an F or an A. Sometimes it's so the opposite of fun that unless you get an A, you're miserable. I've seen that happen with students. I hate to see that because they're super made up. That's not that important. But I understand how it is for you. It was for me too. I just kind of got some perspective after school. Lots of things that have been gamified are not fun, especially because that's where the name comes from. Oh, right. Okay. Gamification does not equal fun. Just because you add a slide bar or a point system to it does not make it fun. Gamification equals games. And games are not always fun, right? Probably makes a game. Okay. Now, let's talk quickly, because I only have a few minutes left, of reward systems. Maybe we'll talk about reward systems. Now we'll talk about reward systems. Reward systems here are really kind of what makes us move into action, right? And that's where gamification really focuses on specific types of reward systems. And in this case, they're talking about a kind of extrinsic reward, right? These are usually what people think of when I say, like, what are some examples of rewards? And if I had more time, I'd ask you guys. But a lot of the time people are like, oh, money, progress, I get to put something on my resume, good grades, airline miles, whatever, a pizza party. If you guys all read so many books, I don't know, teachers are weird. But extrinsic rewards explicitly are things that they're not always tangible, but they're mostly tangible. They're things like that you get, like money. Intrinsic rewards are more motivating in kind of an internal and emotional way. right? For example, an extrinsic reward might be because you really practiced this instrument, you can now play this song. An intrinsic reward might be the sense of being able to do something you've never done before is a really powerful emotion. That would be the intrinsic part of it. A lot of rewards are a combination of both, but a lot of the time gamification almost really focuses on the extrinsic reward part of it. And as you know, that does not equate to fun. Whereas being funny is actually really rewarding and watching people laugh. That's a good feeling. I kind of feel like if giving a banana peel to a cop would be extremely intrinsically rewarding feeling. Maybe both. Okay. So, each of these things kind of lead into two different states. We have conditioning and we have flow, which we're really not going to be able to get into a lot today, but we'll pick this up on Tuesday. So on that note, let's go ahead and talk about the next assignment. It's not required that you have all of the knowledge on these reward systems just yet, but what we've covered is certainly enough to get you moving. Oh, and I say Tuesday. I'm sorry, I meant Wednesday. Sorry, guys. I teach Tuesday, Thursdays in person, and my brain was conditioned. The other assignment I want you to be aware of that is due before I see you next is you are going to have fun by playing. Now, I have some parameters here. You are going to play for 40 minutes with some stuff you have lying around the house. Now, it doesn't actually have to be in your house. It's just you're going to play for 40 minutes. Playing could be going outside for 40 minutes, just picking up sticks and rocks and stuff and seeing what you do. It could be that you pick up pillows and start having a pillow fight with your family or roommates or whatever. Please, if you do get physical with anyone for any reason, that it is entirely consensual between everybody here and that nobody is, going to be a victim of a pillow fight they didn't ask for. You may use things around the house. You may use board game pieces, but you are not to play board games. You are not to play a game of any kind, not to play a game that already has rules. You are only to play outside of rules and structure only. You could stack books. You could pull a bunch of paper clips together and see what you do. Play, but play for 40 minutes. Let your mind wander. This is really hard for a lot of you. It's hard for me too. I don't know why I made that sound so accusatory. Like, you guys have a hard time. I have a hard time with it. This is hard. But we have to let our mind wander and go off into funny places to get in touch with that imagination. So, do you find yourself making stories, art, building something? Do you find yourself fighting? Do you find yourself making little rules? Note here that there is absolutely no requirement to make a rule of play here. In fact, I kind of discourage you from that because that starts to get into a productivity focused point, and I want you to be goofing around. Joanna, that's something incredible. Please, if you do have your amiibos live out a dating sim, I would love to hear their stories. Oh gosh, there could be something there with sexy amiibos. Please, I'd love to hear all about it. Are we allowed to get items separated from rule structure and create rules around them? You may, Bowen, but I want to discourage you from creating rules, but it's not an explicit don't do it. I want to let you play first. So, here's what happens. When you guys go into it with an expectation of I have to make rules, you don't get to interesting mechanic ideas. That's kind of what happens. Imagine, for example, that I was saying hi, we're going to be doing portrait illustrations eventually, but for right now, I would like for you to just do squiggly lines in your book. And instead, you do portraits. And what happens is you don't get into the weird thumbnailing you would normally do if you just kept it simple. So this is kind of a mental thumbnailing of play and different things people do when they play. So you're not allowed to make rules. I don't like to put that parameter on it, but I really want you to try to not make rules first to see if you can find something fun and then expand on parameters around it. If that makes sense. Making rules is kind of a natural next step. So I don't want you to jump the gun, right? Don't rush to the end. You guys are going to anyway, but it's fine. Now, document what you do. Take a picture of it with your phone, or you can draw some illustrations. That's also fine. And share with me, what you did, what you played. Okay. And have fun. That's in order. All right. And I am officially 1 minute over on our time. I'm so sorry to have done that to you. I don't like to go over for like any reason. Please let me know if you have any questions on the assignments, and class is officially dismissed. Have a wonderful weekend.
I thank you for your time, for all the what you told us. That was really useful.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I heard what you said. What was that?
That was really useful. It was actually
Good.
enjoying the class.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed the class. You're welcome. Y'all have a great weekend.